Tendai, and it is spring. I am all dressed up, yes, ready for my flight. But anyway, today I've got a special guest who's like a big sister to me and also a friend. Today we are going to talk about personal branding, the importance of evolving, and so many topics ahead. And her name is Nadeema Kahan, and she is a personal brand architect. Yes, architect. Like, have you heard that position, guys? I'm like, hey, this position. I'm so ready to find out what this position is all about, her career journey. She's passionate about seeing and bringing the best out of people, self-development, and also so many projects that she's been involved with in terms of just empowering the individual to execute their career moving forward. Welcome, Nadeema. How are you?
I'm good. It's so great to see
Looking
you.
all spring.
I know.
Spring has sprung, as they say.
Girl. Well done. I love it. I love it.
We are matching.
For sure.
We are
It's a
matching.
Leo thing, hey?
It's a Leo thing.
It's a Leo thing.
Yes, because we share the same birthday month.
Yes.
Thank you for coming, my sister. I really
so
appreciate. I hope I introduced you well.
You absolutely did. Thank you so much for having me.
This position, like, let's just start with this title. The personal brand.
Okay.
I had to like tone it down, like really, just break it down for us and for those that don't understand.
So I was very intentional and conscious about creating this title. I played in the personal branding space in my previous life, as I like to call it. I worked at L'Oreal for 13 years.
Yes.
So there was lots and lots of engagement and exposure to these incredible brands.
Yeah.
And specifically in the luxury market, Giorgio Armani, Lancôme, Ralph Lauren, Diesel. So I really had the most beautiful tools that came with it. And 15 years ago when I started my business, I then transitioned into this personal branding space where very mainstream it was about what are your 3 brand words and how do you define yourself, how do you want to show up in the marketplace, etc. Very much also translating to your image and your business etiquette. So a lot of the outside stuff, the non-verbal cues, etc. And as my own journey started to develop in my own personal mastery space within my business and in my personal life, it was this epiphany that I was building and recreating and sometimes demolishing parts of me that was old and I didn't need to have around any longer.
Yeah.
So it was really about creating a new design template, a blueprint, and I was rebuilding this house within myself from the outside in. And I was like, oh my word, I'm like an architect. And I just kind of threw the 2 names together, and it's been that way for a while, and I love it because that's what I do. I help people design and define their template of how they want to take up space in the world. Yes. And it really is like an architect. We sit together and we do a plan together, and it's like the plans for the house.
Yes.
And we create this beautiful, beautiful, epic life.
Yeah. And just to go back to what you said, developing from inside, why is it important to work from within and outside? Because a lot of people, consultants, image consultants, they just outer appearance and that's it. Yes. But with you, you're like, you know what, it's going to be inside and out, inside and out, inside and out.
Absolutely.
Why is that?
For me, I think, the most important thing, again, a lot of what I do in my business relates to my own life. I started my personal mastery journey when I was 18 years old. So it's almost 27 years. I'm 45 now. So it's been a long it's been a long road. And part of the process, as much as I was this incredible career woman and I'm an entrepreneur for 15 years, there were still elements that I was getting all the outside right, the look, the vibe, the places I was hanging out, the people I was engaging with. It all ticked the boxes, but there were certain parts of me that still felt empty, that maybe I still needed to re-look at. My triggers, my patterns that constantly showed up year by year, year on year. And it was an opportunity for me to really look at I got the outside right, but then still something missing, because a lot of the time we feel like we can put on a beautiful outfit, buy a new car, and we're going to really deal with our shit, right? And feel better. And in that moment, yes, as the car, the novelty of the new car, new house, and new clothing dissipates, it completely vanishes. You're still left with this void and these questions. So for me, I think if you are choosing, because it really is a choice, to work on yourself, on a personal mastery or self-mastery journey, it is about looking at the stuff that's happening on the inside. And sometimes that stuff is the good and the bad, your light and your shadow. That's who makes up intrinsically who you are holistically, so we can't run away from it. We try. But I think the important thing is that if you're honest with yourself and get to know who you are and what makes you tick, how you show up and what you look like on the outside becomes irrelevant, because people are drawn to your light.
Yeah. And just to add on, how does someone really define themselves, like identity? Because I feel like a lot of us, we define ourselves with so many different things, outer appearance, attachment to relationships, etc. But identity, the true core of identity, is who you really are from within.
Yes.
And for someone that doesn't even know who they are, how do you really bring them into that space? Yeah, to actually now find themselves in their brokenness.
And I don't want to say brokenness, because people aren't broken. Many of us, actually all of us, are wounded. We carry some wounds, whether it's from our childhood, from relationships, from incidents that happened at work, you weren't promoted or you were promoted, etc. So we rather talk wounds versus brokenness. And I think one really beautiful way of just describing how you can define yourself, because a lot of people don't know where to start.
Yes.
And in Sutu there's this word called serenity.
Yes.
Do you know it? Are you familiar with it?
Yeah.
And it talks about how you cast a shadow into the world, the shadow you create. But it's not a shadow like a chair or a table would cast. That's Mereti. That's an inanimate object. How you show up in the world and the feeling that you leave people with. That kind of defines who you are in a way, because how you are interacting with people gives them an experience of who you are, and that really is a brand, isn't it? How you leave people feeling. And it's in that, when you're starting to do the introspection about who you are, how am I showing up? And you get a sense of what people are feeling in their interaction with you. It gives you an idea of whether you're showing up accurately or inaccurately. You don't say good or bad.
Yes.
Accurately or inaccurately, because my good could be your bad and vice versa.
Yeah.
And there should be no judgment around that. And one of the interesting exercises, guys, if you want to know who you are, ask 10 different people, family and friends, to choose 3 words that best describe you to them. And if there's a consistency between those 10 people that say, oh, Tendai is always friendly, she's professional, and if there's that common thread that shows through, it shows that you are consistent in how you are showing up and casting your serenity. Yeah.
Sure, it's interesting to look at it, because we always like to define our brokenness.
You do.
Instead of looking at it, no, it's the rules, it's not the rules.
Yes. And I think it's important, as we define our brands, we live our brands, we journey on this personal mastery journey, that we are mindful of the language we use. I always say to friends, if you spoke to your best friend the way you spoke to yourself, would you still be best friends?
Sure.
Because usually when we do something that's not great, there's a lot of judgment, self-judgment. You know, oh, you're so stupid, you're useless. That kind of language, how does that benefit who we are? And I know in many scriptures of the good books, Christianity and Islam as well, we are taught what you speak has so much power, the power of the tongue. What are you manifesting? So if you're constantly telling yourself you're an idiot, you start believing it after a while, and it becomes a core belief system that when you are being hired for a new job or you're being promoted, you don't believe that you actually can do it. You know, and that's because the imposter syndrome comes in. Who are you to think you are so good, even though you have the skills? You tick all the boxes in terms of experience, education, and skill level. But if you're constantly telling yourself, or you've constantly heard as a child, that you're not as smart as your brother or your sister, you're not good at math, you'll never become anything if you don't become, if you don't study, you don't qualify, because that was the old belief system. You must go to college or varsity to be successful. And in a world of entrepreneurship, listen, you have an amazing idea and you can become anything that you want. Those are such outdated beliefs, and that's part of the evolution. What worked so many years ago, even 6 months ago, post-COVID, our lives were so different. Sorry, pre-COVID, our lives were so different. And it was about reinventing ourselves. And again, not just the outside. Going into lockdown, I think so many people and families were forced to spend time together and look at themselves, right? And really look at themselves. It's like that husband that didn't fix the kitchen cupboard for 6 years. Now he couldn't move, so he had to fix the cupboard.
So it was going to be an on thing, like, hey.
Exactly. There's no excuse. You here, like, do it, So I think it's important that people, again, are just so mindful of their language towards themselves firstly, and then how they speak out into the world, because it has such power. There's such frequency between, frequency in our words and our energy in our words that we use. And I do believe that if we understand the power in that, we will speak differently and we'll be able to manifest things differently.
And speaking of reinventing, how is important about reinventing? And when is the limit? Is there a limit, or you can constantly reinvent whenever you feel like it?
Interesting question, right? I think reinvention is incredible because the world is ever changing. However, how often do you reinvent? I think it's a personal choice, but if you're changing yourself every 3 months, there's no consistency and no credibility. Who do I trust? The Tendai from 3 months ago or the one here? Because you're chopping and changing who you are. But when you know who you are, the reinvention is very subtle, because at your true core essence, you are always the same. I could move into a very different direction in my business. I could continue doing the same business and take on a different element. But how I operate and how I show up, if it's still consistent and it's within my authenticity and integrity, then it's amazing. Because I can change what I look like. How I operate and show up is still the same. The reinvention could look so different. But I think in a world that is ever changing, in a world more so now than ever, that we have so little control over. Nobody saw this pandemic coming. Nobody knew what life was going to be like, what business it was going to be like, or even socializing. We still have such a limited idea, I think, of what the future is going to look like. Even living in a pandemic, we don't know how long it's going to last. So in those moments, find ways, and I think many of us have been forced to evaluate or reevaluate where we are and evolve. For me personally, in my business, I never had a website. I know, right?
No website.
No website.
Now everyone is pressurized. You need to get a website.
I know,
you
like
need to get business cards.
The business cards, but it's like the digital world.
Yes.
And for me, I was so comfortable being in my training space, my coaching space, being one-on-one with clients. I've had the same clients hire me, my corporate clients, for 8 years non-stop. So I didn't need a website because they knew who I was. For 8 years, I showed up being consistent. Even though I was evolving, bringing in new programs, I was also studying and learning more that I could bring to my clients. But at the same time, in this digital space, people have had beautiful opportunities to create something out of nothing. And I think that talks about the resilience of who we are as human beings.
Let's step into entrepreneurship. Because you started your business in your 80s.
No, I started my personal mastery journey, but I've been in my own business for the last 15 years now.
And then all through this is 27 years.
Yes. It's a lot of work.
So in those 27 years of you evolving and redefining yourself and becoming the woman that you are today, what are the greatest lessons that have molded you to become who you are today?
Oh, that's a really good question. What are the greatest lessons? I think whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you work in a corporate environment or whether you're a stay-at-home mom, for me, one of the key things is know who you are. Because when you know who you are, other people don't get to tell you who you need to be. And that is so important. When you operate from a place of authenticity, very little can shake you. Yeah. One of the other lessons is not everybody is going to meet you where you are.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It is,
That's a tough one.
And because I've been in this industry for 27 years, doing the work for 27 years, I have so much information. So I've had a longer period to put all of these tools and skills into practice. And sometimes when I meet people, some of them are close enough to where I am, some of them are ahead of me. But it always is difficult, and I have to constantly remind myself, and these are constant lessons daily, that not everybody has the kind of information I have to behave in a certain way. Whereas I have the information. But don't get me wrong, some days I wish I didn't. Because I want to be like the regular person that just messes up and goes, I didn't know.
I didn't know.
But when you have the information, you can't use it as an excuse, right? You have to own your stuff. I think accountability is a big one as well. We are human beings having this earthly experience. We are here, we say, I call this Earth School. We are here to learn all the time. So if you mess up, be accountable, just own it. Because we learn through experience, and mainly we learn through failure. So I think being accountable is also so important in who we are as people. One of the greatest lessons I learned from my grandfather was empathy. Putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. The ability not to understand, because we can't truly understand what somebody's going through. It's so far removed from who we are. But the ability to imagine what that must be like for them. And it's just about human connection. I think we become so engrossed with the buying and the doing and achieving, we forget to connect with people. And being an only child, that is so important, the human connection. So before I see the fancy titles and the car you drive and where you live and how you dress, I want to get to know you at your true essence as a human being. I think it's important because when we start seeing each other from that aspect, we start treating each other better. And from that we have better homes, better relationships in our homes, in our communities, in society, in business. We become responsible citizens, which the world needs more of.
I like the way you say the doing, because I feel like in this culture, a lot of people focus on the doing.
Yes.
How proactive am I? How busy am I? And they forget about the becoming.
Yes.
So can you establish
the being?
The
because
being.
We don't need to always become something.
Yeah.
Just
So
be.
I would like us to distinguish the three: your being, your becoming, and your doing.
Yeah.
How do you balance those two?
With lots of effort.
With lots of effort.
With lots of effort.
But people need to know the difference.
Yes.
That it is important.
Absolutely, yeah. So one of the things that was instilled in me as a young girl, again, my grandfather was my walking encyclopedia, my go-to, that taught me the most beautiful of lessons. And he always taught me to be intentional. We can be in consciousness, we can be in awareness of things, but are we intentional? So even when I wake up in the morning, I'm intentional about how I'm choosing to start my day, with what energy, how am I greeting the world? What am I going to do with my body? What am I eating today? What am I not doing? So in the doing, we also live in a society, I want to start with that first, because most people live there. We live in a society where we are supposedly rewarded for doing. What's next, the next goal, the next car, the next job, the next house, etc., etc. And we are supposedly rewarded for that. And we get so caught up in this cycle. And it is a system, I believe, that was created and looks so sensational. What's next? It's always the achievement of what's next. That I know many people, and I coach many people who have executives who have the best of homes, amazing careers that they are so passionate about, but they don't even know who they are. They don't even spend time with themselves or their families because they're so busy doing. So that's the doing part. I always call it the law of attraction. You have to do something to make something happen. And we become human doings versus human beings. The human being for me is being able to be with yourself in a moment. It doesn't have to be for days on end. It could be like after you and I wrap up here, you decide that you're going to sit out in the sun with a cup of tea and just be with your breath, be in nature, be present. And that's what it is. It's about being present in the moment. That's the being. The being also means recognizing that we're not always going to get it right. Because we're made up of that light and shadow, the successes and the failures. And the being is, I always imagine it when I'm always talking about being in the moment, in my breath. And if anything COVID has taught us, our breath is the most important thing right now, because without that, because this is a respiratory, sort of virus that attacks our respiratory system, without breath we're nothing. So practice breathing. Breath work is so important. The becoming is also so beautiful. And again, if you are clear about who you are, what you're passionate about, and maybe you've discovered your purpose, because not many people have, you can work towards the becoming. But again, it's how. What is the intention? Am I going to rush into the becoming because society says I need to become a mom at a certain age, I need to be married at a certain age, entrepreneurship needs to look like this or feel like this, success needs to be, I live in a particular area and I drive a specific car and I wear a specific name brand. So the becoming is different for different people. And as you also evolve, you'll find your becoming looks different. And if I think back about when I started studied psychology, started my career at L'Oreal, which was 13 amazing years, I was in the doing. I was this young brown girl from Durban. I worked for this international company, traveled all over the world. It was a dream come true. And listen, if you work in a cosmetic company and you're a woman that likes to look good, it's a dream job, And it was the doing, the needing to achieve, to succeed, etc. Those were my key drivers back then. And almost 15 years ago when I started my business, again, leaving a very safe corporate environment, a job that I loved, a career that I loved, I needed to become something else. It was the reinvention. And I knew there was more. And at the time, Robin and I were together. And for 2 years, I kept on saying, I'm going to leave L'Oreal. I'm going to leave. And eventually she says, babe, you've been saying that for 2 years and you're not going anywhere. Because there's also the fear of, even though I want to become this new thing, I still feel so safe. Even if it's in pain, it's what you know. You know the pain, you know the outcome. This new part of yourself that you need to discover, that's so unknown. So the becoming also comes with a level of fear. But it's beautiful because you get to discover a different side of you, and it's something we were talking about off camera earlier.
Exactly.
Just redefining and pushing yourself to the next level of your greatness. And I think not many people get that opportunity. Not many people take the opportunity. Because safety is important for them. So some people will stay in the job forever. Others that are a little bit older may stay in the job and have a side hustle. And that's incredible. And even the person staying in the job, there's nothing wrong with that. We need to do what feels right for us in our essence and in our core. If your soul doesn't agree with it, why are we doing it?
So what piece of advice would you give to the people that are comfortable and they're very familiar with the pain in whatever situation, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a personal thing? How do you come out of that fear to now say, I'm going to take a risk and do something new
And different.
For those that don't know how to do it, how does that go?
I think a lot of the time people stay in situations because of the level of comfort, even if there is pain involved. and at the same time, they may not have the tools to evolve. And I think it's so important, whether it be relationship, finance, career, if you could find yourself a mentor.
Yeah.
If you reach out to professionals like myself, and there are many out there, incredible, highly educated and reputable practitioners, coaches, people with different titles, but there is help out there. In reaching out to somebody saying, I need the help and I don't know where to start. You know, so for example, I offer a free 20-minute call to a potential client. No obligation. You stuck? Reach out to me on Instagram. You know, I have a little scheduling tool. Book a 20-minute call with me, because sometimes just to speak to somebody and they give you a different perception, may give you the opportunity to become brave in that moment and say, yes, I'm going to sign up for this course I've been wanting to do forever, but I've made my kids a priority for, you know, for as long as I know. Now I want to step into being this mom that becomes an entrepreneur, or I'm ready to ask my manager for a promotion or an increase, because there's a lot of fear that comes with that as well. And there's just this one tool, and I guarantee anybody that signs up for that 20-minute call, there's one tool. You will always leave with one tool that will be more empowering than before you even had the call with me. So there's help out there, and I think people need to take the opportunity. But at the same time, you know, we have so many amazing social media platforms as well. I think it's really great that there's lots of free information out there, but sometimes you don't know how to use the tool.
That's true.
And you know, resharing beautiful quotes and sometimes techniques on your social media platform that you've seen elsewhere. Hello, gorgeous. Yes. Yeah, Louis wants to have some coaching. Hey, you are so beautiful. Yes. And I think it's important that we get this out of our head that, oh, because I've shared a tool, I know what I'm doing. I know lots of people that share lots of the information that I put out on social media, or other coaches or practitioners, but they never practice it themselves. So it is also about the becoming is about doing the work. You can't just say, I want to become X, Y, Z. You have to, unfortunately, that's the way it works. You have to commit to something and be intentional. I can't stress enough how living with intention is so powerful. It becomes your defining moment every single day.
That is so true. And I think being vulnerable, because now when you're looking for help, you need to be in a space where you're able to be vulnerable, to make that change and do the self-work.
And listen, it's not easy. Being vulnerable, sharing your pain, sometimes your inadequacy, your inability with other people. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. I also have moments where I don't always want to share my stuff. Not because I want to come across as the woman that always has it together. I have the tools, and I'm a firm believer in practicing what I preach. So I can't say to you as my client, oh T, you know, you got to do X, Y, Z, but I don't do it. So a big part of my life runs incredibly well because I use the tools every day. But there are moments in my own life where I need help. And it hasn't always been easy. I'm an only child, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm single, so I've always been independent. So I can imagine as well the people that don't have the tools to be able to now be vulnerable and put themselves out there is very hard. Imagine if it's hard for me, it's probably so much harder for them. Yeah.
I agree with you. Going into vision boards, huh?
Okay.
Vision boards,
Yes.
because
Are you a vision board fan?
no, that's why I'm bringing it up. So my perspective with vision boards, I don't know. I've tried it, but it's not working for me.
Okay.
So maybe you need to elaborate more. What is their technique that it's supposed to work? Because I am that person. I've tried it. It's just not.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. What did you try? How did you do your vision board?
just, you know what they say, put in exactly where you see yourself,
Yeah.
the pictures, exactly how it is in the next few months,
Yes.
etc., your plans. Exactly, that's what I did
And what did you follow up the vision board
with my goals.
No, so did you do anything?
Yes, I did.
What?
I worked towards.
You walked to work
Yes.
towards it. Okay, sorry. We kind of jumping the gun. So for
We have
those who
that
don't
conversation.
know,
Because I'm like, okay, you write in your goals, you work towards them, but most of the stuff don't really
doesn't materialize or manifest.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an interesting
And then
question.
some people, they say, hey, yeah, the vision board worked. I got everything.
Like,
And you're
listen.
how did it work for
How did
you,
it work for you?
Nade? What am I missing?
Yeah.
Which ingredient did I not put?
Okay.
You know what
So
I
it
mean?
took, look, it took me 3 months to manifest an X5. So I'm going to teach you, right?
Okay.
So for those of you that don't know what a vision board is, it is a large chart of paper, or you could do it digitally, of pictures and elements and words that you would like to create in your life. House, car, relationship, money, holiday away, spa treatments, whatever you long for.
Yeah.
And why is a vision board so important?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to the psychology and the neuroscience. Your brain is taught to think in pictures. When you were little, your mom would show you a ball versus tell you the name and get you to spell it out.
Yeah.
And automatically the brain is wired to see in visual pictures, in visuals. Which is beautiful because you get to imprint on the brain what it is you want. So it's all good and well that you want to create this epic life for yourself. And let's talk about, okay, give me one thing on your vision board that you'd like to manifest.
That never worked, or that I'm
Anything,
still...
choose anything. A car, house, relationship, money, whatever.
Yeah, money.
Money. Oh,
Yeah, money.
that's a big one, guys. Like, listen, money's on everybody's vision board.
Yes.
And money, listen, we need money.
Yeah,
Right?
the
to do
winner
the
must
things,
come.
to do things that we love, and to give us a sense of financial security and freedom. So money is always on a vision board, and I think it should be.
Yeah.
So you can put a picture of all this money, bank cards, etc., etc.
Ching, ching, ching.
Ching, 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 right? I love it. So here's the thing though, the vision board, so now we've got the visual representation of what it is we want.
Yeah.
It needs to follow through with an affirmation.
Okay.
So what is an affirmation? A statement said in the positive that is said in the now. It's not something that's going to happen. You affirm it in the current state and space that you are in. So here's the thing. Your brain does not know what is real or what is imagined. Your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
So you could have 20 rand in your bank account, but you are wanting to manifest 20,000 rand. Okay?
Yeah.
Sounds familiar. We've all been there. Listen, when you're starting off as an entrepreneur, you've got 20 rand in your bank
Yeah.
account and you're needing
Or
the
minus,
20,000, right?
you know.
Or minus, even minus, right?
Exactly.
So you want to create an affirmation in the positive, then I'm going to give you one.
Yeah.
I now earn 20,000 rand a month consistently every month. I now earn 20,000 rand a month consistently. So for 20 minutes every day, B's are good news. So clearly that 20,000 rand is coming, girl.
Coming somewhere.
So with your vision, your visual picture of what you want, you follow through with an affirmation. And I love, in all my affirmations, I love using the word now, because what you're sending out into the universe is, I don't want it tomorrow or 3 days. It needs to happen now. And you are affirming in the positive, in the present. I now earn versus I'm going to earn. Right? So that's
Not
step one and
going.
step.
Never
Yeah.
use going.
Yes.
Speak now. Manje.
Exactly. So here's the thing, a lot of people use visualization or vision boards and affirmations, and they do manifest money, cars, whatever it is they're wanting, but it may not be the 20,000 rand, for example. And we have to ask ourselves why. And a part of you may think, maybe I'm not doing it correctly, maybe I should be doing it more. Excuse me. If you hold a deeper core belief system within your subconscious mind,
Yeah.
that you are not worthy, you are not valuable, you are not good enough,
Yeah.
you will never be able to manifest at the peak of what you want. because your subconscious mind has now held onto this deeper belief system that you are not worthy of the 20,000 rand. So maybe this was why some of the
No,
elements.
it is more of how. I think you get into thinking how. How do I get there?
How do you get there?
You focus on the how more than the now.
So that's the problem as well.
Yeah.
So I love this, and this is again something Robin had taught me.
Yeah.
Being Mr. Mind Power himself.
Yes.
The universe does not care what it is you want. The universe will only, whether it's the universe, God, the universe only taps into your frequency. So if you are saying, I now earn 20,000 rand a month, but your frequency is low, your energy is low,
Yeah.
and you don't believe it, because there's times you don't believe it because you've got that
Yeah.
20 rand in your bank account, right? So when you are affirming and creating this story in your mind like a child, we used to have these daydreams of what we're going to be and how it's going to look. As adults, we forget to daydream and have this imagination. So if I wake up, okay, let me give you an example about frequency. You wake up in the morning, you're not feeling well, your alarm goes off, you're late, you stub your toe, you drop coffee on you. What does the rest of your day unfold like? Really bad, because it's stuck in that low level frequencies. Whereas you wake up in the morning, listen, you're in love. Everything is amazing. Like the dogs just messed on your couch. You're like, oh, I'm okay. Right?
You know what I mean?
So it's high frequency. So how do you tap into high frequency? Because everything has a frequency. So if you keep your frequency high, and it's something I teach my clients, if you keep your frequency high, you can manifest absolutely anything really quickly. But at the same time, if you are at a low-lying frequency of I'm not good enough, you won't be able to manifest that beautiful picture that you have on your vision board.
Yeah.
And this is what the universe says. I don't care what your thoughts are. I don't care what you want. I'm focusing on your frequency. Whatever frequency you are vibrating at, I'm going to send you more of. The universe also says, get clear on your what. What do you want? What do you want? You want an X5? You want a house in Camps Bay? You want to be married? You want endless money? What do you want? Get clear on that. And I always say it's like when you're praying to God and you're like, Lord, please send me a car. Do you know how many cars there are there? Can you get clearer with the universe and with God? Be specific, right?
It's like saying the type of husband you want.
Yes,
You want to
exactly.
say, abs nyana, you must be handsome, tall, you know,
handsome and lots of money.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? So get clear on the what you want. And I think one of the most important things is your why. Because your why is your key driver. Why do you want it? So for example, I honestly believe that why it took me such a short period of time to manifest my X5. I was in a terrible smash and grab. I used to drive a 3 Series BMW, very low on the ground. The guy was in my car on top of me, cut me across my wrist. I was bleeding out in the car. Thankfully I was like 5 kilometers away from Sunninghill Hospital. I was able to get myself there. It was really traumatic and horrific. And I just knew after that experience, I needed a new car because I hated driving in my car. And I needed a car that made me feel safe. That was my why. I needed a car that made me feel safe, and I thought about what would that look like. And for me again, it was the X5 because I'm a BMW fan, right? And it was, okay, X5, it's going to make me feel safe, and my safety, my why was my key driver of why I wanted it. What it was going to do for me as a woman that traveled often on her own. And I got into my car, and for 3 months, every single day for 20 minutes, I was driving to clients. I was working out in a contract out in Bedford View, and from my home to Bedford View every single day for 20 minutes. I was so clear. I now drive a white BMW X5, 3-liter diesel, motorsport, panoramic sunroof, black leather interior, even down to the kilometers. And God says, get clear on the what and get clear on the what and the why. How it happens is my job. I will take care of it. But it doesn't mean you must sit at home and not go to
And
work.
look at your
Right?
nails.
Do you understand?
Sip on some water.
Yeah.
No, it's
You
not
also
gonna
got to
happen.
show up. But
Yeah.
the bigger manifestation is all by His will and His command. So if we can tap into that, and I've done it for years. I really have done it for years. It's such a powerful tool once we learn how to master it.
So, Nadeema,
Yes. I hear there's a request coming.
we're gonna swap lives because of your car. You know what I mean?
No, I'm gonna
You're
teach you how to
stay here,
manifest your
then I'm
car.
gonna take your car. You know what I mean? Talking about manifesting, getting into success, because people have different definitions of success. What does success mean to you? Or what, if you had to define it?
If I had to define it.
Yeah.
I don't want to define it. I'm going to go there first
Yeah.
because, like you mentioned earlier, everyone has a different definition or ideal of what that means. For some people, it's just finishing school because they come from a home where nobody got their matric, right? For somebody else, it's being a CEO of a huge multi-million-dollar business, having homes across the world, etc. And again, success looks different at different parts of your life. So when I was in my career and I was really living this, I was truly living full throttle in my career, earning a great salary, traveling all over the world. That for me, when I was in my 20s, early 30s, that's what success looked like for me. And I got to a point in my life, again, doing the personal mastery work. As you go on this journey, your life changes, your priorities change. And for me, currently, what success looks like is that I run a business, and I'm very clear about how I've curated my life. I don't work every day. I have a team as well that I've taken on. I have a team of trainers that work with me. So I also don't need to be the person going into my client all the time. I don't always need to be in control. Control was a big thing for me. And I thought being in control also equated to success. So now I'm a lot more relaxed as I get older, because I want a lifestyle that is more balanced. So that is success for me, where I can work 6 or 12 days a month. I can really earn a fantastic salary. I have staff that contract to me that I enable them to earn a salary. So I'm creating wealth for them as well, not just for myself. On days where I don't feel like working, I have the ability and the power to say, I'm not seeing my clients today, I can see them next week. I can go on holiday, I can connect with friends in the middle of the day. I can go for a massage. Those are the things for me that have become important because of the kind of work I do and how much I give of myself. It has become important for me to fill my own cup, to a point where I fill my own cup that it's overflowing into my saucer. So I can only give you from my saucer. For me, that's successful if I can get that right. Not all the time, because life is demanding. Success also means that when I go to bed every night, I have peace of mind. Very.
Success doesn't mean you have to have sleepless nights.
Yes, success also doesn't mean you have to have lots and lots of money. I know tons of families that have so little. They are so happy. And that for them is all that they want. That's their level of success, that everybody's healthy and happy and there's healthy relationships within the home. And that's a level of success. The one thing I can say with so much conviction is that nobody else should define what success looks like and feels like for you. This is why we're caught up in a world where people have anxiety, they have depression. We're comparing our lives to an illusion on social media. When it's lights, camera, action, it looks amazing. But when all of that is turned off, most of those people, and I stand to be corrected, many of those people, not most, are not really happy. So are they successful? That's a question they have to answer themselves. So I think the most important thing is that we don't allow the world to define who we are and what it needs to look like and feel like for us.
I'm with you. So we're going to play a game. It's a quiz question. In closing.
Yes. Hit me.
Zin, 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 zin. How do you unplug? So
How do
you
I
have to
unplug?
answer in like less than a minute.
Oh, less than a minute. Because my job is constantly talking.
Yeah.
I binge watch series like you cannot believe. As a child, I never watched TV much. So I lose myself in a series or in a movie because I don't have to talk and I don't have to think. That's it.
That's it.
And that is it. It's that simple for me.
Favorite meal you like to cook?
Oh, definitely a biryani. I know,
okay,
right?
you
Like,
that girl.
I am that girl. A good biryani. That's like soul food, man. Yeah.
And then one word that defines you.
Dynamic.
What is your why?
What is my why? Before I used to say that my why was being fully in the training space,
Yeah.
that I wanted to give people the skills to do their jobs really, really well. And my why has changed. So my why now is that I don't want to make smarter people. We have Google for that. I want to create, right? We have Google for everything. I want to give people the tools that they are their most authentic selves and living their best lives for themselves and their families and their communities. I want to help people become better versions of themselves. That's my why.
And your favorite quote or caption?
My favorite quote or caption is one by Mahatma Gandhi that says, "Be the change that you want to see in the world." So often we want to change other people. Oh, it's not me, it's them. Every single thing in life is about us, and it starts with us. So if I'm wanting a different reaction from somebody, a different behavior, I have to also look in the mirror and go, what am I doing that's not accurate? What can I do differently? How do I show up differently? So that's it. Be the change that you want to see in the world.
It was good having you.
Yes, and thank you for creating this platform. I think it's important that, you find, and this is what you do, you find these incredible people to interview and share their little gems and nuggets of gold.
Yeah, and I think, having a diverse of people that, coming in on this platform to share their advice and their career and experiences, for me, it's important because I want people to see the other side of that person, not just a public figure, or and for them just to engage and relate. That, I'm going through this. This person has advised me. Oh, they actually went through this. It makes a difference.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank you for coming through
You are
and giving
so
us all
most
the
welcome.
gems, the advice, vision board. Now I know it's the now. It's not about the how.
Yeah, and people are most welcome to reach out, on Instagram and use the 20-minute free call.
Yes.
So
you can actually also tell us your contact details, how people can contact
so you can contact me on my business page on Instagram. It is at Nadeema, Nadeema Kahan, Kahan, at the Nadeema Kahan. Lots of free advice. I run amazing competitions where I give away lots and lots of coaching prizes. I have a 20-minute call, free call, no obligation call at all to sign up with me to do any work. If you are challenged, I'm not going to use the word struggling. If you are challenged, please reach out. I'm so happy to be of service to you and just give you a tool. At least walk away with one tool, knowing that you are more empowered than before you made the call.
And there you go. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you, guys. Take care. Ciao.